Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about makeup releases, recent makeup releases that I have zero interest in wasting my money on, and of course I'll give you the reasons why. I made a list of 10 to keep it nice and even, and all of these are products that I have skipped on this season, products from very popular brands, products that I would have been very likely to go for, but for the reasons I'm going to give you, I am completely skipping them, and I think you should too. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm scooting over this way a bit because, like in a Will I Buy It video, I'm going to put the pictures of the products right next to me since I don't have them because I did not waste my money on them. And the first product I want to talk about is the Too Faced Happily in Love palette. It doesn't matter if Too Faced made the outside packaging red. Once you open this one, the colors on the inside are pretty much essentially what they always do with these palettes. Yes, there's like one green shade in there and maybe like one more reddish brown than usual, but other than that, it is always the same colors. Take a look right here at the swatches of the palette. The main green shade is called Pick Me, and at the bottom you can see one that's like a very light greenish type shade, like a barely green color, and it is called Orchard Stroll. But honestly, besides that, it is always the same color story when it comes to Too Faced, and that is definitely one of the reasons I decided to skip on this palette. What this picture right here with eye looks tell me is that we are very likely not getting shades that are super pigmented in this palette because these are very light eyeshadow looks even on the deeper complexion. And when it comes to this type of palette from Too Faced, they are usually very hit or miss. They did the Italian Spritz palette probably like a year ago or so in this type of packaging, and that one was a palette made in Italy with a slightly better formulation, but for the most part the palettes that Too Faced launches in this type of packaging are their made in the USA formula, which is honestly not that great. And it seems that for the past few years Too Faced has not really cared much about the quality of their eyeshadows. I feel like they have launched other products that I like, that I think are good, but when it comes to eyeshadow, I'm not feeling them lately, and so for all of those reasons I am 100%, 1000% skipping on this palette, and I don't see anything remarkable about it, so I think you should too. Since we're on the subject of Too Faced, there is one more Too Faced product on my list, maybe two I should say, because it's the Too Faced palettes that came out as part of their holiday collection. They look, both of them look so basic. And they are $30 each, which is the same price for 5 eyeshadows as the Anastasia 9-pan palettes that I absolutely loved. Anastasia released the Sugar and Spice palette this year, both of which are 9-pan eyeshadow palettes with pretty good formula, and for the same price you can have this color story from Too Faced with 5 eyeshadows of probably even less quality. Make it make sense, because I don't see it making sense anywhere. I do not like this. This is, by the way, the Mini Precious Gems eyeshadow palettes. Maybe they put precious gems on the formula for it to be as expensive as it is. This one right here, I believe this one's called Your Gem, and again, so basic. The color story is so bad, the packaging is horrible, and $29 for those 5 shades seems a bit ridiculous. So I mean, I don't really have too much more to tell you about them. I have not even swatched them. I do not know what the quality is for these palettes, but I can tell you that $29 for 5 pans and a color story that is completely unremarkable is definitely not worth it for me. And since we are again on the subject of Too Faced, I have a third and last Too Faced product on my list, and this isn't a holiday release or a new release at all, I don't think, but I saw it on the website and I was like, why? Just why? And why? That's the only question I have. I'm talking about the Too Faced Disco Crush High Shine Glitter Eye and Face Sparkle. And these eyeshadow singles, or eyeshadow and face, I guess, singles, are $30 a piece. $30 for one, just one eyeshadow sparkle. And when you look at the pictures, they don't even look that good. What is remarkable about that? That you need to pay $30 for it. There are plenty of eyeshadow palettes on the market that have beautiful metallic duochrome shades with loads of sparkle for a fraction of the price. Yes, you have to get the whole palette, but like for example, my least favorite palette of the ones that I did buy this season was the Huda Beauty one. And it has really great formulas. Like every shimmer in the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette is a fantastic formula with lots of pigments, very metallic shades with a lot of shine and a lot of glitz to them. And you can find those formulas in bigger eyeshadow palettes all of the time. You do not need to spend $30 on an eyeshadow single, and I don't think anyone should, so please don't. Which brings me to the Patrick Ta eyeshadow duos, which I am putting in this video. Have I tried these yet? I have not. I have looked for them in store multiple times and I do not see them. These are sold out online, which like, I'm very mad at whoever bought them, okay? Very mad, because I thought we had agreed we were not going to pay $40 for two eyeshadows, which if we look at it in comparison to the $30 eyeshadow I just talked about from Too Faced, this is a steal, okay? This is cheap in comparison. But why are we paying $42 for two eyeshadows? And what does not make sense to me, because somebody else brought the other day that I once recommended an eyeshadow shimmer from Charlotte Tilbury that is very sparkly and that is also very expensive. But Charlotte Tilbury, at least, and I know I'm contradicting myself here, but I do have a weakness for Charlotte because I used to work for her brand and I did all the training and all the putting makeup on people with her products, and I love them. I have a soft spot in my heart for her. But at least also she is consistent with her pricing. I will say that, right? Like, you buy a 4-pan palette from Charlotte Tilbury and it's like $50 some, and so it makes sense that for one big shimmer eyeshadow, like, okay, the price might be 30 plus. Right now I wouldn't even recommend the Charlotte Tilbury single, but I did do it once. She is consistent with her luxury pricing when it comes to Patrick Ta. I don't care how great these eyeshadows are, which I haven't even heard that they're that amazing, by the way, but you cannot sell me a 12 pan eyeshadow for $70. 12 pans, $70, 2 pans, $42. Make it make sense, because it makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. I don't care if these eyeshadows are actually made with shavings of real gold, like, it makes no sense, because your brand sells 12 pans for $70. Why are you selling 2 pans for $42? Cannot believe you guys sold Sephora out of these very expensive eyeshadow duos. And if you bought them, please let me know in the comment section whether you think it was money well spent. My friend Britt Clark is saying that she is loving one of the shades she bought for herself, and it does look ridiculously amazing on her eyeballs. But I am sticking to my guns. $42 for 2 pans when you sell 12 for $70 makes no sense, and I am not purchasing these. I am, however, still waiting to see them in store because I do want to swatch them. But you cannot convince me that I don't already have shadows of even or higher quality to these that I bought for cheaper. Okay? You cannot. So, let's move on. Since I just briefly touched on Charlotte Tilbury, and the soft spot in my heart that I had for her is still there, but it's hardened a little over the years, I should say. And this year I was zero interested in her holiday palette. Charlotte usually does a holiday palette every year. I preferred when she did the big 12-pan palettes. Those were excellent. I loved them. I would understand if she had to increase the price from $75, which I think it used to be $75, to like $80 with those. I would understand if the price had to be raised, but I definitely loved those a lot more than the 9-pan palettes she's been doing for the past 2 years. And I like last year's 9-pan palette, by the way, but this year's 9-pan palette, I mean, take a look at it yourself right there. The color story is so overdone. I did swatch this one in store. If you watch my shopping the Sephora sale in store video, you saw me swatch this one in store. The shimmers are unremarkable. The color story is Pillow Talk related. I do love her creamy mattes though. Don't hate me for it, but I do love the formula of the matte shades in this palette quite a lot. But I do not like the color story at all. I am not interested. I feel like it's unremarkable, and this is a $70 eyeshadow palette that I am very happy I kept for myself. The $70, I mean, not the palette. Very happy I kept the $70 in my pocket, and I did not spend my money on this one because I would not have gotten a lot of use out of it. I can tell you that right now. Maybe for like a video review it would have been worth it, but I just knew from the beginning, just from looking at the palette itself, that I would not recommend this. My love for the brand that I used to work for makes me wish that she comes back from this next year with a banger of a palette with amazing formulas and a great color story, and I could put this sour taste in my mouth in the past, okay, because I was not about this year's palette at all. Moving on to another eyeshadow palette, and I don't just have eyeshadow palettes in this video, I do have a couple of cheek palettes as well that we'll talk about, but I guess we'll do all of the eyeshadows first. I next want to talk about the Mundo Space Cowboy Glitter Eyeshadow Palette from Urban Decay. This is a limited edition palette. It's available at Ulta and it retails for $49. Yes, $49 for those 6 eyeshadows. I think reason number one that I'm not buying this palette might be the fact that, once again, I feel like Anastasia and Too Faced and Urban Decay, they're like comparable brands, right? And again, Anastasia gave us 9 pan palettes with really good formulas for $29 this year. So the Too Faced and Urban Decay pricing is not great in my opinion, because again, these are brands that are not even putting that much emphasis on like really good formulas for their eyeshadows. So why would I spend that much on a few eyeshadow shades? Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. Second reason I was turned off by this one was honestly the packaging, because at first it's kind of cute that it's a star, but then also, where am I gonna store it? It doesn't fit with my bookcase situation that I have going on with my eyeshadow palettes. I like to store my eyeshadow palettes like books, and that one just would not have fit the aesthetic as well. That's a shallow reason not to buy it, but it's a reason. And then thirdly, the color story is so freaking boring. Yes, it is neutral, and I do like neutral, but I have these shades in my collection a million times over. Let's not kid ourselves. And when it came to like the sparkles on the eyeshadows, it truly turns me off quite a bit when the pictures look very retouched, because then I'm like, okay, so the product must not be that good, because you're having to put a lot of fake sparkle on the eyelid when you're retouching the picture. So what does it actually look like? Probably not even that shimmery. I might be wrong, okay? I do know that the Mundo Space Cowboy glitter is really widely known and loved, but I don't know, for $49 these eyeshadows, at the end of the day, the Space Cowboy glitter is just one shade out of the 6, and the other 5 are kind of meh to me. I think I gave you enough reasons, right, why I don't love this one. So I did not purchase it, and I don't think anyone should have. The next brand I'm going to talk about is one of my current favorites, if not my current favorite top eyeshadow brand in my collection, and that is Natasha Denona. And Natasha launched a palette this holiday season that I completely skipped and will not be purchasing, and that is the Mini Baby I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. She launched it only in the eyeshadow palette and eyeliner kit, which retails for $29. So yes, the price is pretty expensive for what it is, but you also do get the eyeliner in there, and I am a big sucker for Natasha Denona eyeliners, so I'm going to give it a pass on the price. It's a little high, but like it's okay, because you do get a beautiful eyeliner, which that eyeliner was the only reason I even thought of getting this to begin with. I was tempted by this one, by the way. Because the eyeliner looks beautiful. It's in a shade called Taupe, and you guys know how I feel about eyeliners in my waterline, and I feel like that color would be perfection to add to a lot of eyeshadow looks, but I stopped myself from getting this kit just for the eyeliner. And to be completely honest with you, the only reason I did not get the kit was the fact that I do already have I need a nude palette, and the 3 shades that come in the mini baby palettes are shades from the big palette, so I already have them in my collection, and I do not need the baby nude kit. I have not ever collected these baby kits from Natasha Denona because they're always repeated shades from the big palettes. Anyways, this one honestly tempted me because it's Natasha and because of that eyeliner color, but again, another $27 I kept in my pocket and did not spend this holiday season, and I'm pretty happy about it, and I'm going to stick to my guns about it too. I am not going to be purchasing that. Honestly, I do think it might be worth it if you don't have the big Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, because the shades they chose are beautiful, and I know that a lot of people are going to love to do like a quick eyeshadow look with those 3 shades, but if you already have the big palette, then it's not worth it. One more holiday eyeshadow kit, and then we'll move on to the face palettes I am skipping on. And the last but not least holiday kit I am skipping on this year is the Tarte The Golden Era Amazonian Clay Collector Set. Now I will say something in favor of Tarte and this kit is that you do get all 3 of these eyeshadow palettes for $55, which if you divide it up comes out to be like $17, $18 per palette, which is definitely not terrible. It's more in tune with reality, I believe. And so that's definitely a good thing about this kit right here. Like, you know, if you have girlfriends and you like want to buy them an eyeshadow palette and not spend an arm and a leg on the eyeshadow palette, this could be a good kit to like divide up amongst your girlfriends, and I'm sure they would love it. Tarte does have pretty decent quality eyeshadows, a little dusty, a little kick-uppy, but you know, for the most part they are pigmented and they blend nicely, and they do have a nice amount of metallic sheen to them. So I'm not fully hating on this one, but I do have 2 cons and 2 reasons, 3 actually, 3 reasons why I did not buy it, I will not buy it, and I don't think they're super worth it. At least not for personal use. I do see the quality of it as a nice gift for someone. Reason number 1, and the first thing that turns me off about this collection, is the packaging. These palettes honestly have some really hideous gold packaging. Like, they are super flashy and loud and very tacky looking on the outside. So that I did not love. 2, the color stories are unremarkable. They might as well be AI generated. I don't feel like there's much thought put behind them. We've seen them 1,000 times, just meh. If you have a medium to small makeup collection, you already have these colors on there, okay? I promise you that. And then, don't kill me, but I forgot the 3rd reason. I had 2, I knew 2, and then I thought of a 3rd, and then I told you 2, and now I forgot the 3rd. I guess that's all I got. The pricing isn't terrible. Well, at $55. However, they definitely have to be kidding themselves on the website, because it says that this is a $336 value. What math did they do to get to $336 from these eyeshadows? $336 values, and it can be yours for just $55. Come on, come on, be for real. Let's move on. Let's move on. I just noticed that, by the way. I hadn't seen that before. What? Moving on to one that seriously tempted me, okay? I saw it in person. I was like, do I need it? But I don't need it, and I stayed away from it, and I saved $58 by not buying it, okay? And I am talking about the Ilia, the Ethereal Baked Face Palette, Longwear Bronzer Highlighter, and Blush. I love the packaging, very organic, very demure. And I know that this probably has really good formulas with great pigmentation, fantastic blendability, a blurring effect to them. Like, I can imagine all of that just from looking at it. I did see it in store as well. But here's the reason I did not purchase it. This comes with a bronzer, 2 blushes, and a highlighter. I know for sure that the highlighter I am not interested in because I'm just not interested in highlighter in general. The 2 blushes look very warm. Wish I can work them, but one of them looks out of my comfort zone warm. The other one looks in my comfort zone warm. And then the bronzer looks neutral to warm as well, which I do not like. The bronzer is the biggest thing for me. And also the main thing that if it's not exactly how I like it, it will turn me off. And I do not like warm bronzers. And this bronzer looks, I'm not gonna say super warm, but neutral leaning a little bit warm. And so for that reason, mainly for the bronzer, I skipped it. Also, as you can see, the shade differences between the blushes is pretty strong. Like one is very light and the other one's very dark. I don't love super dark blushes either. So even though I love the packaging of this, honestly, the packaging was the main thing that drew me in. Even though I do love the packaging, I just didn't see myself past an initial review here on my channel and whatnot reaching for this one all that much, and so I went ahead and skipped it. Honestly, I don't know why, but a lot of Ilia products seem to me like a good idea, and then I always end up pulling back. Do you guys have a lot of Ilia products in your collection? Please let me know, and let me know what your favorites are and whether or not you think that Ilia is worth it, because for some reason I never take the plunge on Ilia products, and I don't want to be like that, okay? I want to love all of the brands. This was definitely a beautiful face palette. I think it's great for the holiday season, but I do think you have to want to look a little warmer than I prefer to look in order to make this work for you perfectly. Honestly, this one I put in here just kind of as a filler for my list to reach 10 products because I don't actually hate it and I don't think it's a lazy release. I like it. It's just not my color preference, but I had 9 products and I needed a 10th to make it an even number, so I threw this in here because I didn't purchase it. Anyways, the last product is one that is freaking lazy in my opinion, and that is because NARS always comes out with the same palettes with the same color story. This is called the NARS Pure Luxury Light Reflecting Face and Eye Palette, and as you can see by the 3 blush shades, it could have been called the NARS Orgasm Face and Cheek Palette or whatever the hell, because it still has the same shades it always has. Even if it doesn't say orgasm on the name, we see the colors. It's like they have a pre-mix batch of like orgasm looking shades and they're like, just throw it in the next palette as well, okay? Anyways, I will tell you a couple of positive things about this palette. They did release 2 different versions of this one. I'll give them props for that, because usually they'll release a face palette and just give us one tonality of it that they want to make work for all complexions, but then it doesn't work for super light, it doesn't work for dark, it might not work for someone in the middle. And they did do a light to medium and then a medium to deep, which I'll change the color so you can see right there. So that's definitely positive because we have options. And then the other positive is that the bronzer doesn't look warm. It looks pretty nice and cool tone for the light palette, which is the one that I would get for myself if I were to get this, which I'm not. And so I do like that the bronzer is nice and cool toned. This palette retails for $60. The packaging is beautiful. Again, my big con with it is the same blushes as ever. So it's a little disappointing, a little lazy in my opinion. Now, I did go to the reviews for this one and I clicked on non-incentivized reviews only, and I clicked on verified purchases, and the reviews are not great. Majority of them are a 1 when you click on those subcategories, and even the ones with 5 stars are telling me things I don't like. Let me read you like a few reviews. Worst product ever, returned it today, no pigment at all, have to apply 10 times to see some pigment in the cheeks. Second review, 1 star, no pigment, will be returned, very disappointed. The third non-incentivized review is a 5-star review. It says stunning, not super pigmented, which makes it more user-friendly, beautiful shimmer without sparkly chunks, get this. So even though it's 5 stars, love it, not super pigmented. And I'm going to skip to the second 5-star review. It says, I'm pleasantly surprised how beautiful this one is. You need very stiff brushes to use on this palette for sure. However, all of the shades perform beautifully. It's very subtle but yet elegant, no regrets. So no pigment, even if you love it, it has no pigment. The review I skipped was 1 star. I was super excited for this one but became very disappointed because of the lack of color, a medium complexion, and I didn't believe this was meant for pale face girls. The pigment is very light, and even when I used the brush and swirl the pan a lot, it still has very little pigment. It wasn't worth it for the money. The new Hourglass palette is easy and pigmented. Go by that and leave this one right here. So, I feel like that right there tells you everything you need to know about this palette. And I don't need to say anything else about the reason why I did not purchase it, and I don't think you should either. And that is it. We have reached the end of this video. I feel like some of these brands have truly gotten a little lazy with it, and also some of them have also lost their touch with reality when it comes to pricing some of their products, okay? Because if you don't have fantastic quality eyeshadows, why are you pricing things super expensively with shitty packaging too? Too Faced. Anyways, I love you all so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.